This is the Consew model 733R-5. It is Consow's flagship machine. It is the most heaviest machine in the line. It has a top and bottom feed, and I'm going to demonstrate exactly what that is. First, I'm going to lift the pressure foot. We're going to hold it up by the lever here. And what we're going to focus on now, as I turn the hand wheel, is the feed dog. So as the feed dog comes to the forward, you'll notice it comes up, and then it's going to carry the material as it drives back, and then it's going to drop down. So we're going to get a positive feed from the bottom, so the fabric is going to be fed from the bottom. That is drop feed. Now we're going to drop the pressure feed down. Now we're going to focus on the outside foot. So as the feed dog comes up in the front, the outside foot marries with the feed dog and it lifts the center foot. This is upper feed. And you have the alternating pressure feed in between. So now we have a positive top feed and bottom feed, or alternating pressure feed as well. This machine is a Federal Stitch 301 Lockstitch. It has an oscillating shuttle. It's designed for extremely heavy duty sewing, webbing. It can handle up to 1.25 inches of sewing and up to 6 cord. So the 733R-5 has an oscillating shuttle, and this allows it to go into extremely heavy duty thread. So it has a range really from, say, a Tex 46 up to a Tex 600 or a 6 cord. To put that in perspective, a standard sewing thread for upholstery is a Tex 70. This can handle 9 times that size in diameter. This is a Tex 138, which is a kind of a small thread for this machine. The needles on the machine is a System 1000 or 1000H, and the needles range from size 18 to 29. Now we're going to show you how to thread the machine. We'll start with the bottom with the shuttle. So we're going to remove this access, and we're going to take a screwdriver here to be able to get to the latch. And there's a latch here that we're going to actually spring open, and we just push and spring it open, and then the shuttle comes directly out. Now this is your shuttle, and as you can see, it's a pretty large piece. In order to put this in, we're going to look down here, and there's a little piece at the bottom here. It's a little latched out piece. If you can see that. So we're going to kind of come into that backwards. I'm going to put our shuttle in. We're going to make sure it goes into that piece there, and we're going to pull it straight up until it gets to right there. At that point, you can push it in, it clicks, and you release, and that's all you have to do. Now for the top thread, the best thing for me to do is just show you from the beginning. So let's do that. Let's take our top thread here, and we're just going to cut it off. And let's just pull the top thread completely out, and we're going to start over. Now for the top thread, we're going to open this reservoir here. This is if you want to put some lubricant into your thread. If you sometimes it's good. It keeps the thread cooler as it goes through the needle. It also helps so that the bond doesn't come off the thread. So we'll start at the sharp edge. We have a little pigtail here that we're going to sneak through. And now that we get through the pigtail, sometimes it's easier if you have a pair of tweezers. I didn't have any, so we're going to do it the hard way. We're going through this tension. This is your main top tension. Now we have a tension release, and while I'm here I want to show you that. When you lift your presser foot, it actually pushes this piece up into the tension and releases it. So now we're going to drop this straight down through this cavity here, and you'll see it come out towards the bottom. And I don't know if you can see it down there yet. There she was. Okay. So now that we're getting it all the way down here, let's get it pulled back out of the way. And if we come on this side, should sneak in there pretty good. So Typically the top part of this threading doesn't come out once you get it threaded. Now this is a trick too. We want to make sure we stay into this. This is a roller tensioner, and I'm going to go around it twice just so we're all the way there. So we're going to come back, go under this piece here like we're heading, and then the check spring is located here. Go into the check spring, and this is the check spring that works this direction. Release some more thread. I'm going to go up through this top one, come straight through, and there's a lower one here, and I'm going to go through this little slot, come on out the other side. And it's easier just to go ahead and lower your needle so you can get to this little hole in the needle bar thread guide. Go straight through there, and bring the needle up from left to right. We're going to go in the needle, make sure the scarf on the needle is in this direction, and that takes care of your top thread. Now we're going to discuss the features of the 733R-5. This is a very robust machine. It's very heavy. It has a 16.25-inch workspace. It has an extra large hand wheel with about a 14-inch diameter. It's about as large as your steering wheel in your car. Underneath here, we have a shuttle, and we're going to have to open this up. So let's bring it over so I can get to it. And we're going to open this up so we can see it. So here we have a extra large shuttle. Now this big piece that's down here, this is your shuttle race. This is all steel, and it's an oscillating shuttle, and some people don't know what an oscillator does, so let's just kind of show you what that does. Where we have this open, let's put the bobbin in correctly. Excuse me, shuttle. Okay, so what happens is if you watch, the shuttle will come back in one direction, and now it will not go all the way around. It just goes about 3/4 away, and it oscillates back and forth. And that's an oscillating shuttle. It has an extra high pressure foot lift. It gives you a clearance of 1.25 inches. So if you can see now, I'm going to bring the needle to the high point. I'm going to lift the pressure foot up, and you can see I have my whole hand underneath. This is the sewing capacity of the machine, and we're going to give a demonstration of how thick it can sew. We have a double row feeder underneath here. You can see there's 2 rows instead of a single row feed mechanism. We have a reverse feed that's located here. This is your reverse, which you can do by manually hand, or we have this set to a pedal, and we can do reverse by a pedal. So either by hand or pedal. And on the same knob, you can change your stitch length. So the longer it comes down, the longer your stitch is. The more you come up, the shorter the stitch is. So that's how you adjust your stitch length. At maximum stitch length, we can accomplish around 2.5 stitches per inch. We govern the machine at about 550 stitches. Now that varies. Some people can run a little faster. It all depends on the type of thread, the material, and it's certainly the thickness of the material and the density of the material can govern that. We have a press-a-foot lever on top that can hold everything up, and we have a pressure foot pedal on the bottom that we can do the same thing to do the pressure foot. So 2 areas to do that. On top we have some oiling reservoir caps. Underneath there's some nice big cushions that absorb the oil, and through a wick system we wick oil the machine. Underneath here we have a similar type thing, so all the little dots we're going to oil, and all the little caps here we fill up, and the machine is nicely lubricated. That about covers it. Alright, so we're going to do some sewing testing now. We're going to do some pretty thin material. We're going to get it to some pretty thick material. So I'm going to make sure that I have my thread cleared out of the way here to get started. And one way that you can get started here is, I'm just going to put one layer here so you can see, is you want to hold your top thread when you start. Now, typically you can hold it, get it underneath this, hold it in a down position like this to hold it taut so that it won't get caught up in it. Or you can bring it back behind the foot and allow the foot to hold it as the presser foot comes down. I usually like to take a couple small stitches here to get started, and then once I get that done, I'll come back and cut off that top thread, and you cut the bottom thread off on the bottom just to clear it out of the way. There we go. That's clear. So as you can see, we've got a pretty nice just upholstery piece of leather. If you want to do a top stitch, this is about as thin as you can go. We probably want to adjust the tensions a little differently on this material. As you can see, it's the knots are on the bottom here, so we would want to adjust the tensions. But we're going to go further than something like this. So now we're going to go to a nicer, thicker piece of material. And we'll bring up on here. Here we're going to utilize the reverse. If we're doing a WW pattern, we're able to accomplish that with reverse. That's that simple. Now we're going to sew on to another piece here. And now we're going to change it up a little bit. Start with this small piece, and we're going to take this piece and we're going to go ahead and double it over. We're going to lay our piece of fabric over this piece of leather here. Let's go ahead and just fold it over 2 or 3 times and just make it like a big seam. So we can now we've got a pretty good pile of leather right there. Now, although we're sewing through relatively thick material, it's not very dense. So we're gonna start challenging the machine now with some little more density as we go forward. Okay, so let's bring this on top of it and see if we can get it to sew over some thicker material. This is saddle leather. It's really thick. So we're going to go with 1 thickness here, 2 thicknesses, 3 thicknesses. Here, lift the presser foot. Let's take a look at what we've got so far. This gives you a good example of some batting. Something doesn't have a whole lot of density, but it certainly has a lot of fluff, and so if you're doing something like this, it's good. Here we're talking about something that we can't even bend. So now we're going to go to 4 layers, 5, 6 layers. This is your and it sews over quite easily. Not a whole lot of effort. Now we're going to really challenge it. This is a webbing. This is probably one of the densest webbings I've ever seen because it's even hard to fold it. Can't even get it to fold without some pressure. So let's go ahead and get a little challenge on this. There we go. Now this material is not all that thick, but it's really getting dense, getting hard to turn, to move. No challenge. As you can see, we started off with just a thin layer of material. We went into a number of layers of batting, and we ended up with something that really has a lot of density, but not a whole lot of thickness to it. We went over to some saddle leather. Certainly go a few more layers than this, and then we really challenged the machine. We ended up with this. Now I can't even bend this. That's how dense it is. So this is our 733 flagship of Consew, and it will definitely sew through your hand completely. Don't do that.